Let's solve December 2025 Paper 1 questions. Let's start with Unit 7 Data Interpretation. Study carefully the table given below and answer the question asked here under. In this table, number of 5 types of products, that is A, B, C, D, E, manufactured against their respective year of manufacturing are given. The values listed under A column, B column, C column, D column, E column are expressed in thousands. The number 15 plus 29 can give you the result of 44. If you go by 15,000 plus 29,000, this will end up with 44,000. So when there is a need to express it in thousands, we will go with this way. Otherwise, we will stick to this particular way is what I am trying to tell you with respect to thousands units. Let's start with the first question. During which of the following years manufacturing of product A was approximately equal to the average production of that year? How do you find the average production of a specific year? You have to calculate the production in terms of all the products A plus B plus C plus D plus E divided by 5. This average has to be calculated for every year. After that, you will get a specific value here. This value should be approximately equal to the A column's value. It means when you calculate for 2021, it should be close to 29. When you calculate for 2022, it should be close for 32. When it is for 2023, it should be approximately equal to 28. For 2024, it is 26. For 2025, it is 23. Whichever year gives the average that is approximate to the manufacturing number of product A, that will be the answer for this particular question. So let's first calculate the average of every year. For 2021, the average will be 29 plus 45 plus 26 plus 15 plus 32 divided by 5. The sum is 147 divided by 5, which is equal to 29.4. So you have to compare this with 29, A's value. So it is approximately equal only. But you have to check the other years. If the approximation is more in other years, then that will become the answer. Now we will go for 2022. 32 plus 52 plus 58 plus 26 plus 35. The sum is 203 divided by 5. This will give a value of 40.6, but A's value is 32. So there is a big range. This will not be the answer. What about 2023? 28 plus 54 plus 92 plus 24 plus 39. This will give a value of 237 divided by 5, which is equal to 47.4. The A's value will be 28. The range is actually differing here. This is also not the answer. What about 2024? It is 26 plus 58 plus 86 plus 27 plus 34. This will give 231 as the sum. Divided by 5 will give you 46.2. But A's value is 26. Again, the difference is big. Should you calculate for 2025? Whichever options they have mentioned, those options alone you calculate and see. 29.4 is approximately equal to 29. So we are going with option number 1, 2021 as the right answer. Next question. Manufacturing of product C in the year 2023 was approximately what percent of the total production of product B in years 2022 and 2024 together. So what is the first value? Manufacturing of C in 2023, it is 92. What about the production of B? Manufacturing or production both mean the same. When they talk about a single product, they have mentioned the term manufacturing. When they talk about two products or one product in 2 years, they use the term production. So we will use the production term here for B. In 2022, it is 52 and 2024 it is 58. So they are asking together, so you have to find the sum now. Total production of B will be 52 plus 58, which is equal to 110. Now what is the question? The product C's value is approximately equivalent to what percentage of total production of B? So we have to find C is equal to X percentage of 110, which is the total production of B. So C is equal to X percentage of 110. Instead of C, we can have 92. 92 is equal to X divided by 100 into 110. 10 and 10 will go. To find X, we have to take 10 to the other side and bring 11 to the denominator. So this will be 920 divided by 11. So just have a division here. 11 8s are 88, we have 40, 11 3s are 33, we have 70, 11 6 are 66, we have 4. So let's stop with one decimal point because they have given after rounding only. So this will be 83.6. Since we are expanding with percentage, we will just place 83.6%. So they have told you it's approximately what percentage. 83.6 percentage can be expressed as 84 percentage. Option number 1, 84 percentage will be the right answer. We should not mark 80% because the range is differing here. We have to go with 84%. Next question, if we consider the combined production of products C and E in each year, then what is the difference of their combined production in the years 2023 and 2025? Now let's go for 2023 year. Product C has a value 92, product E has a value 39. Again for 2025 we have to take C and E. C's value is 82 and E's value is 34. Now we have to find the combined production in 2023. It is 131 and the combined production in 2025 will be 116. So we are just summing up these two values and summing up these two values and getting the respective sums. Now what is the question? They are asking the difference in their combined production in the years 2023 and 2025. So we have to subtract both the values. Difference between 2023 and 25 will be 131 minus 116, which is equal to 15. But did you see the answer? It is expressed in thousands. So here we can apply the 1000 and bring it to 15,000. Option 2, 15,000 will be the right answer. Now did you understand why did I leave out the 1000 units and work? When you want to work with percentage, when you want to work with addition, carrying these 3 zeros is additional burden. When needed, we can use it. Otherwise, we can stick to the 2-digit number that is given in the tabular column. This does not apply to every question. For this question paper and for this particular table, it is suited. Next question. During which of the following years, product B has the lowest percentage of manufacturing with reference to combined manufacturing of that year? In order to find the combined manufacturing, you have to add all the products together, A plus B plus C plus D plus E. They are asking product B's percentage with reference to combined manufacturing. It means taking product B value in the numerator, we have to put the sum of all products together in the denominator. Using this value, we have to find the percentage for every year. So what years are taken into consideration? Only 2021, 22, 23 and 24. The option doesn't include 2025, so we need not calculate. The percentage of B is given by B divided by A plus B plus C plus D plus E, and in order to find the percentage, we are giving into 100 here. From the first question, I have taken the total. This is the denominator, A plus B plus C plus D plus E. 2021's total is 147, 2022's total is 203, 23's total is 237 and 24's total is 231. If you take the percentage of B's value is 45 here. So 45 divided by 147 will give you 30.61 percentage. So when you multiply by 100, automatically you have to apply percentage. For 2022 value of B is 52. So if you are taking 2021's value for B, then the sum will be for 2021 only. It should be year specific. 52 by 203 into 100 will give you 25.615 percentage. For 2023, it is 54 divided by 237 into 100, which is equal to 22.78 percentage. For 2024, it is 58 divided by 231 into 100, which is equal to 25.108 percentage. They are asking product B has the lowest percentage during which of the following years? Among these four, which is lower? 22.78 is lower. So the respective year will be 2023. Option number 3, 2023 will be the right answer. Next question. Manufacturing of product D in the year 2021 is approximately less by what percent of its production in the year 2024? Manufacturing of D in 2021 is 15. Manufacturing of D in 2024 is 27. How do you find by what percentage it is less? Larger value minus smaller value divided by the larger value into 100 will give you the percentage. What is the larger value here? It is 27 minus smaller value is 15 divided by larger value 27 into 100. This will be 12 divided by 27 into 100. You can further reduce this. 3 4s are and 3 9s are into 100. So 400 divided by 9. 9 4s are 36. Again 9 4s are 36. From this itself you could have understood 44 percentage. So this is going to be 44.4 percentage or 44 percentage. Approximately less. So we have to take it as 44 percentage as available in option 4. Option number 4, 44 percentage will be the right answer. We have completed unit 7. We'll move on to unit 1 teaching aptitude. Choose the correct statements among the following. They have given about the activities or the tasks done during interactive stage and post-active stage of teaching. So let's get a learning now. There are 3 stages of teaching: pre-active, interactive and post-active. So here the statements are: diagnosis of the learners is done in interactive stage of teaching. Feedback and testing of the learners are done in post-active stage of teaching. Fixing up goals and content are done in post-active stage of teaching. Selection of appropriate testing devices is done in post-active stage of teaching. Decision about strategies of teaching is done in post-active stage of teaching. Let's start with pre-active stage. This is the planning stage that happens before teaching. We have fixing up goals and objectives, organizing content and learning material, deciding on teaching strategies and methods, planning instructional aids. Just go to statement C. We have fixing up goals and content. So it is C point. And we have decision about strategies of teaching, which is present in E. So these two belong to pre-active stage. C they have mentioned as post-active and E is also mentioned as post-active. So from this we know C and E are definitely wrong. Let's go to the next stage, interactive stage. The actual classroom interaction happens here. Presentation of content, explanation, illustration and demonstration, diagnosis of learners. It means identifying learning difficulties or misconceptions. Then we have classroom interaction and engagement, adjusting teaching based on learner responses. Let's take A here, diagnosis of the learners. It is present here. So at which stage they have mentioned? It is done in interactive stage. A is perfectly correct and we don't have other 2 points here. So let's move to the last stage, post-active stage. This is the evaluation stage after teaching. We have feedback collection, testing and assessment of learners, selection of appropriate testing devices, reflecting on teaching effectiveness, planning for remedial measures or future improvements. So feedback and testing of learners. So these 2 points together, this is B, and selection of appropriate testing devices, this is D. Both these are given in post-active stage, so definitely both statements are right. From this we can pick option number 3, A, B and D only as the right answer. Fixing up goals. This cannot be done in post-active stage. Only after setting up the goals you will be able to start teaching. So taking that point into consideration, you can definitely rule out 1 and 2. Actually, this particular point, selection of appropriate testing devices, sometimes it is done in pre-active stage also. But after collecting feedback, sometimes the testing devices can be changed. Though it is a part of post-active, some classrooms will have it in pre-active stage also. Decisions about strategies of teaching is usually decided in the pre-active stage, but the decision about the strategies can be modified after feedback collection, so it can also be a part of post-active stage. I am just telling you what possibilities can happen. So we will even rule out option 4. The teaching strategy has to be decided in the pre-active stage, that is during the planning stage. So for that purpose only we are ruling out option 4. Next question. Arrange the educational objectives of cognitive domain from lower order to higher order skills. Lower order is usually corresponding to memorization. So here memorization can be equated to knowledge. So let's take D. This will be the lower order skill we can say, because anybody can memorize. Whether you are retaining it or not is different. It's about the basic skill. So that will be knowledge. And what about higher order skills? Evaluation will always happen in the final stage. So A will be coming in the final place. So in that aspect, the option will be starting from D and it will end at A, taking D to be the lower order and A to be the higher order part, maybe the lowest side and the highest side here. So any option that ends with A can be considered and any option that starts with D can be considered. This is for people who don't have any idea about cognitive domain. So you can rule out 1 and 3 because of this A, and you can rule out 4. So from this you will be knowing what is the right order. Now let's have a learning about all these skills. We will start from the lowest order and then go to the highest order. The first skill is knowledge. Recalling facts, definitions or basic concepts. This will be D. The example will be like listing the stages of teaching as we did in the previous question. Just give the stages of teaching, then you will recall what are the 3 stages. It is pre-active, inactive and post-active. So you are recalling whatever you have learned. So this is knowledge. And another example can be naming a formula. The next skill will be comprehension. This is about understanding and interpreting the meaning. This will be E. Example, you can take it as explaining a concept in your own words or summarizing a passage. Only when you understand the meaning, you can produce it in your own words. Next comes analysis, which is C. Break down information into parts and examine relationships, like identifying assumptions in an argument or comparing 2 teaching methods. You have to analyze which one is better, which one is doing good. So here analysis comes next. Then we have synthesis, which is B. Here we are combining elements to form a new structure or pattern. Example, we are designing a lesson plan or we can propose a new solution to the problem. And the Highest order skill here will be evaluation. Judge the value or effectiveness of ideas or materials. This will be A. You may analyze a research paper or you can assess the success of a teaching strategy. So all these come under evaluation. The order will be D, E, C, B, A. Option number 2 will be the right answer. Next question, match the list 1 with list 2. We have concept mapping, 5E based lesson planning, stimulus response based lesson planning and unit plan. We'll start with concept mapping. Concept maps visually show relationships between ideas, helping learners structure and connect concepts. So this can be equated to graphical tools for organizing and representing knowledge. A will be mapping to 1. Then we have the 5E based lesson planning. The 5E model is engage, explore, explain, elaborate and evaluate. This is rooted in constructivism where learners build understanding through active inquiry. Since it is rooted in constructivism, we can go with constructive approach here. B will be mapping to 2. What about C? Stimulus response based lesson planning. This model focuses on observable behaviors shaped by stimuli and reinforcement. This is the core to behaviorist theory. So we can map C to 4, which states behaviorist approach. What about unit plan? A unit plan organizes content, objectives and activities across multiple lessons in a coherent sequence. So this is the systematic arrangement of subject matter. So D will be mapping to 3. A1, B2, C4 and D3 is available in option number 2. Option 2 will be the right answer. Next question. The SWAYAM was launched in. Most people would have marked the answer as 2020. It's because many of you became aware of SWAYAM only during the COVID period. But when was it officially launched? SWAYAM was officially launched on 9th July 2017. Option number 2 will be the right answer. SWAYAM stands for Study Webs of Active Learning for Young Aspiring Minds. It's a massive open online course platform developed by the Ministry of Education under the Digital India Initiative. The content providers are IITs, IIMs, NPTEL, IGNOU, NCRT, UGC, AICTE and there are more contributors. The course levels range from class 9 to postgraduate. Courses are available in English as well as in regional languages. What about certification? Learners can earn certificates after completing assignments and passing exams. So it's a little detail about SWAYAM. If you want, you can browse more. Next question. Which of the following is not the criticism of behaviorist model of teaching? It means 3 of the statements are criticism, while 1 will not be the criticism. What is behaviorist model of teaching? Learning is a change in observable behavior caused by external stimuli. This is rooted in stimulus response psychology. The role of a teacher will be the controller of environment and reinforcer of correct responses. It means they should appreciate, give feedback, motivating the learners. What about the role of learner? They are passive recipient who responds to stimuli and is shaped by the reinforcement. So when they respond correctly and when they get appreciated, their behavior is shaped. That's what they say, shaped by reinforcement. What is responding to stimuli? When something is asked, they respond. Other than that, they are passive recipient. What does behavioralist model of teaching focus? It focuses on drill, practice, repetition, conditioning and reinforcement. Example activities will be rote memorization, programmed instruction, behavior shaping through rewards or punishments. So when something has to be appreciated, reward will come into place. If something has to be not repeated, then a punishment will take care of it. So now let's get into the statement. First one, it does not take into account important internal processes that take place in mind. So here the focus is on repetition, conditioning, practice. So it is not focusing on internal processes. It is the right criticism. It does not account for thinking, reasoning or understanding. So let me mark C for proper criticism. Second point, it is not appropriate for higher order learning. That's true. When it does not account for thinking, reasoning, then definitely it is not appropriate for higher order learning. That is also a proper criticism only. It fails to support creativity, analysis, synthesis or evaluation. What about the third point? It is not appropriate for lower order learning. Actually, it is appropriate for lower order learning because it is all about rote memorization where knowledge comes into place. This works well for basic skills, factual recall and habit formation. The statement is actually wrong. We cannot say it is a criticism. Actually, it is not a criticism. It is the actual working of this particular model. So, behaviorism is appropriate for lower order learning. So, this statement is wrong. What about the fourth statement? Learning is sometimes beyond the association between stimulus and response. This is true. Learning involves internal cognitive processes like reasoning and problem solving, which go beyond simple stimulus response patterns. In that case, this model of teaching doesn't support that. So, this is definitely a criticism for this particular model. So, which is not talking about the criticism. This line is not talking about criticism. It is actually the correct statement about this model of teaching. So, we are going with option number 3 as the right answer because it is not a criticism of behaviorist model of teaching. We have completed unit 1. Let's move on to unit 2, research aptitude. Identify the advantages of open-ended questions in survey research. They have given 4 statements here and we have to identify only the advantages. The statements say it is easy to process answers, respondents can answer in their own terms, they enhance the comparability of answers, they are useful for exploring new areas or ones in which the researcher has limited knowledge. Actually, A option and B option are contradicting. When they say it is easy to process answers, it means the way of answering cannot be left to the respondent's choice. Take objective type of questions. It is very easy to process the answers because all the answers will be in the same format. If you give a questionnaire and ask them to answer, every answer can be from the choices given only, or it can be based on that particular format only. So, when it is easy to process answer, definitely respondents cannot answer in their own terms. This is one way. The other way is when respondents answer in their own terms, then it is not so easy to process the answers. So these two statements are logically contradicting. I mean to say that both the statements cannot be placed in the answer. So I don't know what is open-ended question, but I can understand that A and B cannot go together in one answer. So whichever choice has A and B can be ruled out at this stage itself. So we can rule out option 1 and 2 at this stage itself. The leftover options have B, C and D only. So definitely A must not be the part of the answer. So now we will get into the learning. Open-ended questions allow respondents to express their thoughts freely, making them ideal for exploring new ideas and gathering rich qualitative data. Using this statement, you can understand B statement and D statement are definitely right. What are the key advantages of open-ended questions? The first advantage will be rich, detailed responses. They will be capturing emotions, reasoning and context that closed questions miss. It means such things are not possible in closed questions. You are not only learning with respect to open-ended questions here, even you are getting some insights on closed questions here. Then we have respondent-driven insights. People answer in their own words, revealing unexpected themes. So this is perfectly matching with statement B. Then we have exploration of new areas, useful when the topic is unfamiliar or under-researched. So this will be D. Next advantage is flexibility. No predefined options means less bias and more authentic feedback. When you are given objective type questions, your answering mode is restricted to those options only. So flexibility is available when you are able to talk freely. So that is what we call it as more authentic feedback. What about the final advantage? Better understanding of motivations. Helps uncover why people think or behave in a certain way. So only through their answers you will be able to understand their motives, motivations, etc. So this can be also taken as motives. Here we don't have easy to process answer statement or enhance the comparability of answers. When somebody is going to answer in their own terms, you cannot compare the answers. As we compared A and B, in the same way if we compare B and C, both cannot go together. When somebody is going to answer in their own terms, you cannot take two people's answer and compare. Say for example, both are given the same question, both are given the same set of options. Now you can compare their answer, there is a possibility. But when everybody is allowed to talk freely, how can you compare the answer? The context of one person might not match the context of another person. Take a topic about rain. Somebody may talk happily about rain and somebody may talk very sad about rain. The context is totally contradicting, and how will you compare the answers? You can just say that both emotions are different. Other than that, you cannot do anything with both the answers. So B and C will also not go together. Using this particular idea, you can even rule out option 3. From this, now we have narrowed down to the answer. Option number 4, B and D only will be the right answer. So A is not a part of the answer, C is not a part of the answer. Open-ended responses are harder to analyze because you have to pick details from what others talk. Comparability is harder due to varied responses. So these 2 points I have already told you. So this is just to give you a clarity of why we are marking A and C as wrong. What are the types of open-ended questions? We have descriptive questions, explanatory questions, evaluative questions, exploratory questions and narrative questions. What are descriptive type? These questions ask the respondent to describe an event, experience or situation in detail. Explanatory will seek to understand the reasons or motivations behind a choice or opinion. Why did you choose this particular group, or why did you choose this particular stream in your education? This will be explanatory questions asking for reasons. Evaluative questions will invite the respondent to assess or judge something, often combining a rating with justification. During the singing show, if you are asked to judge a singer based on 10, you might give that person a rating of 6 or 7. You are judging something and you are justifying why you have given some marks to the performance. That is evaluative. What about exploratory? They are used to gather suggestions, ideas or feedback, especially when the researcher is entering a new area. When the researcher is getting into a new area like cloud computing, one way to gather suggestions is which is the most prioritized part in cloud computing to carry on research, or they can ask for ideas or feedback about their choice, anything that is allowing you to explore. Narrative questions encourage storytelling or personal accounts, helping the researcher understand deeper experiences. So this is a kind of storytelling. You are narrating something. All these questions have to be taken in the context of research because this question is a part of research aptitude. Next question, match the list 1 with list 2. Non-probability sampling is given in list 1 and the characteristic is given in list 2. We have snowball, purposive, quota, convenience. Out of these 4, we have already learnt about snowball and quota sampling in the previous year question paper. Non-probability sampling is a method where participants were selected based on factors like convenience, judgment or specific criteria rather than random selection. So non-probability is non-random. Instead, we depend on factors like some kind of judgment or some kind of specific criteria. Let's see about the non-probability sampling methods given in this particular match. Snowball sampling starts with a few participants who then refer others, useful for hard to reach population. You are starting with some kind of initial respondents and then you are reaching other respondents. This is actually matching with statement 4. This characteristic states identify other respondents with the help of initial respondents. This is what we have seen in this particular statement. We are starting with some people and those people will refer others later. And this is useful when you have to reach more people, but when the case is hard to reach people, at that time you can use this particular sampling method. So A will be mapping to 4. A4 is available in 2 of the options. What about purposive sampling? Researcher selects specific individuals based on specific traits or expertise. Hand-picked cases on the basis of specific usability. Usability can be a specific characteristic or specific trait. So, based on the specific feature, B maps to 1. What about quota sampling? Ensures representation by setting quotas for subgroups. These many people together for a particular group. Like stratified sampling. So, this is similar to stratified sampling. But again, this is non-random because it is listed under non-probability sampling. This will be equivalent of stratified sampling statement because they have given it is just like stratified sampling here. So definitely C will be mapping to 2. C2 is available here but B1 is available only here. So we can rule out the other 3 options. Even if you know A and C, still you will be stuck up between 2 and 3 options because A and C are same in both the options. So definitely you need idea about other methods too in order to complete this match. What about convenience sampling? This uses easily available or nearby individuals as respondents, choosing the nearest individuals to serve as respondents. So D will be mapping to 3. D3 is here. Option number 2, A4, B1, C2, D3 will be the right answer. I keep on telling you that only these details are not enough to complete this match. If you think you know only a little, you cannot manage every time. You have to make yourself ready to learn more things. Only then you will be able to manage most of the time. Sometimes due to luck, you might manage with little information. But if you have to manage every time, then definitely you need handful of information is what I am trying to tell you. Next question, arrange the following intervals of standard, normal, variate in increasing order of probabilities. This question is testing your understanding about standard normal distribution, which we call as Z distribution. So I will show you the picture of standard normal distribution. This distribution is bell shaped and symmetric around Z is equal to 0. It means it reaches the top here. As Z increases, the probability area under the curve decreases. The probability between 0 and 1 is here, but the probability between 2 and 3 is here. The value of probability can be taken from here. It is given as probability density. So maybe when it comes to 2 to 3, the value will be between 0 and 0.1. So now let's take the question. They are asking to arrange it in increasing order of probabilities. It means the value whichever is small will be placed first and the value whichever is large should be placed later. Which is large value here? This one. So let's start with 0 less than or equal to z less than or equal to plus 1. This particular range is going to have the highest value. So this will be A. Plus 1 less than or equal to z less than or equal to plus 2. This will be B. Then we have plus 2 less than or equal to z less than or equal to plus 3. This will be C. And if you keep extending it till infinity, plus 3 to infinity will be D. Between A and B, which is having lesser probability? It is B. So A is greater. Between B and C, B is greater. So obviously between C and D, C will be greater. Which has the least probability density here? It is D. So the smallest value here is D. Then comes C, then comes B, then comes A. Actually the order A, B, C, D is decreasing order of probabilities, and the order D, C, B, A will be increasing order of probabilities. This will be increasing order and this will be decreasing order from the diagram. So D, C, B, A is available in option number 1. Option 1 will be the right answer. Only if you have idea about this particular distribution, you might be able to answer this question. 0 to 1, 1 to 2, 2 to 3 and 3 to infinity. This is actually in continuous scale only. You can be stuck up between 1 and 4. So these two options will confuse you, even though you rule out 2 and 3 based on the order of A, B, C, D given in the question. If you don't know Z distribution idea, then it's difficult to answer this question. Now I have taken the values of all these ranges. So just take the value. This is 0.1, this is 0.0 and this is 0.00. Then here between 0 and 1 it will be 0.3. So here this will be the decreasing order D, C, B, A. So only with this diagram you can get a better idea, because calculating the approximate probability is quite difficult. Next question, in quantitative research strategy, the principal orientation to the role of theory in relation to research is. So did you understand what is the statement? No. Read it once again. In quantitative research strategy, the principal orientation to the role of theory in relation to research. So they are asking about the role of theory in research context. In quantitative research strategy. In quantitative research, researchers begin with a hypothesis and design studies to test these hypotheses using structured data collection. How does this data collection happen? Using surveys and experiments. Let's see about the terms here. Inductive objectivism, deductive constructionism. So here we have inductive, deductive, the known terms. Objectivism and constructionism, not that much known terms. So let's start with inductive reasoning. This is a type of qualitative research where theory emerges from data. Here the researchers are going to begin with hypothesis and then use data to test them. But here in qualitative research, the theory is going to emerge from data. Researchers explore patterns and build theory after data collection. But here we are starting with the hypothesis and then trying to prove it. It means you are starting with the theory and then trying to collect data in order to test that theory. But here only after data collection you are going to build the theory. Inductive reasoning is also a part of qualitative research, which is not a part of the question also. So inductive cannot be the answer. What about deductive reasoning? This starts with a general theory or hypothesis and test it through data collection and analysis. This is actually matching with the explanation given for quantitative research. So deductive reasoning can be the possible answer. So we will mark deductive as of now. We will just learn what is objectivism, constructionism and then go with the answer. Objectivism is an epistemological stance, not a reasoning strategy. So it's not a part of the option because it is not a reasoning strategy they have told. It refers to the belief that reality exists independently of our perceptions. While often associated with quantitative research, it does not describe the role of theory is what they say. So what is this epistemological stance? I'll tell you about that later, but as of now we can rule out option 2. What about constructionism? This is also an epistemological stance common in qualitative research. We can rule out option 4. So even though objectivism is associated with quantitative research, it is not a reasoning strategy to describe the role of theory. Here, constructionism is common in qualitative research. It suggests that knowledge is constructed through social processes. It is incompatible with the deductive theory testing nature of quantitative research. They are not related to each other because constructionism is qualitative while deductive reasoning is quantitative. Now we know option number 3, deductive, will be the right answer. Now we learn about epistemological stance since I thought it can be helpful for you. An epistemological stance means the position a researcher takes about what counts as valid knowledge and how we can know it. There are 4 stances available, and after seeing what is the meaning of that particular stance, we will see how it is used in research, because for this unit we need this part only. Let's start with the first stance, positivism. Knowledge is objective, measurable and independent of human perception. This is used in quantitative research like experiments and surveys. Next we have interpretivism. Knowledge is subjective, shaped by context and meaning. So interpreting means it belongs to individual's understanding. That's why this knowledge is subjective. But quantitative and objective go hand in hand, because in objective what we say, the answer is same for everybody. In quantitative, whatever be the method, the final answer will be same. So that way they can be equated. What about the use of research for interpretivism? Qualitative research interviews ethnography. Ethnography is observations you can take. Next we have constructivism. Reality is socially constructed through interaction. This is what they have given as social processes here. Case studies and discourse analysis. A statement individually can mean a different meaning. When it is applied in some particular context, it will give a different meaning. So when you are interacting, you might get different meanings of a particular statement. When somebody is going to ask you, did you have your breakfast? It can be in a tone of asking whether you want something, or they can ask you whether your breakfast is over. This tone can be understood only when we know the context of the conversation. So that's why discourse analysis becomes a part in constructivism. What about objectivism? Reality exists independently of our thoughts. So subjectivity is not there. Knowledge reflects that reality, often linked with quantitative approaches. Once you have objectivism, definitely it plays a role in quantitative approaches. So now you have idea about all the 4 stances and how they are used in research. Maybe this can turn out to be a question next time, so do have a learning. Next question. When the results of a study can be generalized beyond the specific research context that refers to. So this is about generalizing beyond the specific context. They have given the options as reliability, replicability, internal validity, external validity. Reliable means you are relying on something. Replicability means duplication of something. When they say generalizing beyond a specific context, that doesn't go with replicability and that doesn't go with reliability. It should either be internal validity or external validity. This is on plain terms. Now we will get into the learning. Reliability refers to the consistency of a research instrument or procedure. whether it yields the same results under consistent conditions, whether we can rely this particular instrument, whether we can rely this particular procedure. So this is not about generalizing something. So we have correctly ruled out reliability. What about replicability? Replicability indicates whether a study can be repeated by other researchers and produce similar results. Replicability is what people are trying to do with UGC NET exam. When you find somebody qualifies the exam using a particular strategy, immediately some of the aspirants are trying to replicate that strategy. So replicability is about repetition. So generalizing beyond the specific context is not possible here. What about internal validity? This concerns whether the study accurately measures what it intends to within its own design. Cause-effect confidence inside the study. You are checking whether it is doing what it has to do. So that is internal validity. External validity refers to whether the study's findings can be generalized to other settings, populations or times. Maybe you are starting with a specific research context. Once you find it is correct, whether you are able to generalize it to other settings. Maybe you are starting certain strategy for school kids. If that is going to be a success, then can I generalize it to college students? Can I generalize it to PhD scholars? Can I generalize it to working people? This is different setting, different population or even different times. Something that you are testing for current generation. If you are able to apply it or generalize it for older generation, that is what they say, going beyond the specific research context. So here even internal validity can be ruled out. We will go with option number 4, external validity as the right answer. External validity is the concept that addresses whether the results of a study can be applied beyond the specific context in which it was conducted, such as other groups, locations or even time periods. This is all about generalizability. With this we are completing unit 2. We will move to unit 4, communication. Given below are two statements. One is assertion and the other one is reason. Assertion states that influence of mass media is rarely direct. Reason states, according to limited effects theories, media effects are almost always mediated by group membership or relationships. Limited effects theory argues that mass media rarely has a direct powerful influence on individuals. Media effects are often filtered through social, psychological and cultural factors rather than causing immediate direct changes in behavior or opinion. It means first we will think whether people living along with us. Social doesn't mean society alone. It means the place or the environment in which we live. So don't take social as somebody who is unrelated to our life. Today we have come to a position like even our neighbor is unrelated to us. But in those days, neighborhood, the streethood, the areahood, everything should be taken into consideration. I am just telling for namesake, okay? It's just the neighborhood I am telling. We will just think whether it is acceptable in the society, whether our mind can accept this, the psychological part, whether people in my family will accept it, the cultural factor in the sense whether we are used to such a trend. All these thoughts run in our mind before causing any immediate or direct changes in the behavior as well as in our opinion. In reality, the influence of mass media is rarely direct is exactly true. Assertion is true. What about the reason? Limited effects theory such as two-step flow model emphasize that media influences are channeled through opinion leaders and social networks, not directly imposed on individuals. So here the statement says media effects are almost always mediated by group membership or relationship, means either somebody should say that particular practice is fine or it should be accepted in your social network only in that two-step model. Two-step model means, so this is media. When it is directly influencing an individual, that will be called as direct influence. But when there is media, there is an intermediary role here. like social networks, some groups, some opinion leaders, and then based on their role, if it reaches the individual, that will be two-step model. So reason is also correct as per limited effects theory. R provides a theoretical basis for A. A is the reality they have told, but R is going to give you that basis. It explains why media influence is rarely direct, because interpersonal relationships and group affiliations mediate the impact, they say. Even it can be applied today. Maybe when there is a trend that is getting followed by a single individual, you will at least have a little fear whether to adapt it or not. That little fear in you will not allow you to adapt it immediately. But if there are lots of people whom we call as influencers, if everybody starts doing that trend, then you think our social network is doing, so we will also do the same. This is what is exactly happening today. The two-step flow model is happening because still now mass media is not having any direct influence on individuals. It is relying on those group networks, and these group networks called influencers are actually managing the individuals. So we can go with option number 1. Both A and R are correct, and R is the correct explanation of A. We have some more terms regarding this limited effects theory. Selective exposure, selective perception, selective retention, opinion leaders, two-step flow model, reinforcement effect, intervening variables. We will just see all these terms because next time this could turn out to be a question. Selective exposure means people choose media that aligns with their existing beliefs. What about selective perception? Individuals interpret messages based on their biases, based on their mindset. Selective retention means people remember information that supports their views. In fact, we will remember the names of people whom we think they support us. The rest of the people we don't even remember. Similar thing, opinion leaders. Media influences people indirectly through trusted individuals. Then we have two-step flow model, media, opinion leaders and general public. This is what I told here. Reinforcement effect means media strengthens existing attitudes rather than changing them. The effect is more on this particular part rather than changing them. Intervening variables means social context, education and group identity mediate media effects. Sometimes due to the social context or due to the education that we had, we may contradict or we may go along. Next question, arrange the following in the ascending order of year of appearance, beginning with the oldest. Radio, television, book, prototypical newspaper and film. What do you understand from options? The last place is for television and the last but before place is for radio. So now you have to arrange book, newspaper and film. Which one do you think would have got the oldest appearance? Chronological order of media appearance starts with book. Appeared earliest with printed books dating back to Gutenberg's press in the 15th century. So earlier printing was not done regularly like newspaper. So it started with printed somewhere else, a book. So book will be coming first. It starts with C, then goes prototypical newspaper. Emerged in the early 17th century. I have given you along with the years. So then comes D. After that, film came into existence. So this is E. Developed in the late 19th century with early motion pictures around the 1890s. If you have some idea, you can try for E in the third place. Though we don't know whether C or D in the first place, we can try with EAB order, but again that is available in two options. And film cannot be the first in the chronological order. So we can rule out 1 also, and based on this EAB order, since E comes before D, we can even rule out 4. Still the competition is between whether it is book or newspaper, newspaper or book. When you start thinking about older generations, you have to think it in this way. Here or there was a book. Maybe when people wanted to share their thoughts with other people, newspapers came into existence. So the order will be book first and newspaper next. Option number 3 will be the right answer. The order will be C, D, E, A, B. What about radio? This became a mass medium in the early 20th century, around the 1920s, and television, the commercial broadcasting began in the late 1930s to 1940s. This is the chronological order of the given media. Next question, match list 1 with list 2. Types of groups in communication are given in list 1. Characteristics are given in list 2. We have primary group, self-help group, learning group and public group. Just look at the characteristics. Members interact with one another to benefit an audience. Goal is to improve member skills. Membership is based on sentiment. All members have a common problem. So here, without getting into the explanation, let's try to match. When you want to develop yourself with some skills or improve your skills, definitely you have to take some learning. That can be equated to learning group. What about sentiment? Do you have sentiment in self-help group? Self-help is like helping yourself along with a group of members. So there will be no sentiment. Then in public group, do you have the need of sentiment? Public is a mix of audience. So sentiment can be a part of primary group. If you know what is the primary group, you can easily understand why sentiments work there. But without knowing what is primary group, I am trying to tell you. So let's see whether C2 is available here. It is available in 2 options. Next we will go for self-help group. When it comes to self-help, whom do you help? We will help someone who is having a problem. So taking helping and problem into consideration, we can map B to 4. B4 is again available in both the options 1 and 3. So we will rule out 2 and 4 as of now. Let's take public group. When it is public, we definitely know the key term here will be audience. So using public and audience as a clue, we can map D to 1. And as I said, if you know what is primary group, definitely you will map it to sentiment. But when you don't know what's primary group, the only option that is left here will be sentiment only. So A will be mapping to 3. A3 and D1 is available in option 1 and it is swapped here. So we will even rule out option 3. We will go with option number 1. Now we will check whether this mapping is perfectly syncing with the correct answer. The types of groups in communication. Primary group formed through close personal relationship based on emotion and long-term interaction. This emotion is what they have mentioned as membership is based on sentiment. The family circle, the close friend circle will be the primary group. A is definitely 3. What about self-help group? Composed of individuals who share a common problem and support each other in coping or recovery. Example, addiction recovery groups they have given. All members have a common problem. That's why they create a self-help group and help themselves. So this will be B mapping to 4. That is also correct. What about learning group? This is focused on improving members' knowledge or skills through structured interaction. We can say study circles and training groups. Cohorts means groups we can take. Training groups, study groups, they will all be focusing on improving the skills. So goal is to improve member skills will perfectly match learning group. C is 2. That is also right. What about D? Public group. Engages in communication aimed at informing or influencing an audience, often in formal settings. Example, panel discussions or public forums. So when you can relate public to audience, definitely public group will be members interacting with one another to benefit an audience. So what is this benefit an audience? Inform and influence audience is what they say, benefit. So D will be mapping to 1. We are going with option number 1, A3, B4, C2 and D1 as the right answer. Apart from these 4 groups, we have 3 more groups in the types of groups in communication. Secondary group, created for achieving specific goals or tasks with more formal and impersonal interactions. Maybe next to family and close friends, we will have work teams, committees. Those group will be secondary group. What about social group? Formed around shared interest or activities, fostering casual interaction and bonding. Hobby clubs, sports teams, whichever you go with shared interest. That is social group. What about virtual group? The interaction will be primarily through digital platforms and often across geographic boundaries. This will be online communities, remote work teams. So these are the other 3 groups here. Maybe it will be useful for you in some other question paper. Next question, a person who believes that all social, political, economic and cultural changes inevitably based on the development and diffusion of technology is a. So we have to learn about all the terms. Technological determinist, cultural determinist, technological septic, economic determinist. It is talking about cultural, economic, political and social. So it cannot be specific to cultural and specific to economic. It should either be option 1 or option 3. So let's learn about it. A technological determinist believes that technology is the primary driver of all social, political, economical and cultural change. This view holds that once a new technology is introduced, it inevitably reshapes society, often in ways beyond human control or intention. So this is matching with the statement given in the question. We will see about the other terms also. Cultural determinist believes that culture shapes technology, not the other way around. For example, societal values and traditions influence which technologies are adopted or how they are used. Opposite of technological determinism, we can say. Culture is not shaping technology here. Actually, technology is only shaping everything. So, definitely 2 is not a part of the answer. What about technological septic? This person questions or doubts the power of technology to drive change. May argue that human agency, ethics or social structures are more influential than tools or devices. So this person is not in favor of technology, but the statement is in favor of technology. So we can even rule out option 3. So cultural determinist is telling that culture is shaping technology, but technological septic is actually doubting the power of technology. It means the person knows how to use technology, even then they say they are not more influential compared to humans. What about economic determinist? The person believes that economic forces and class relations are the root causes of societal change. This is right. Often associated with Marxist theory, where technology is seen as a product of economic needs, not the cause of transformation. This view is right and it has to be respected, but this is not the one that is described in the question. So we will go with option number 1, technological determinist as the right answer. Which context is this particular question? It is talking about technology, but it is placed in communication. Why? The context is media theory and social change, explores how media technologies like TV, internet, smartphones influence the society. So under that context, this question is asked. These terms are foundational theories in media and communication studies. They explain how different forces shape society, especially through media and technology. These theories help us understand whether change is driven by tools, values, money or human agency. So 1 says it is because of tools, 2 says it is because of values and 4 says it is because of the economic needs, the money, and 3 says it is because of human agency and not because of tools. So here this is 1, this is 2, this is 3 and this is 4. You can equate the terms appropriately. Next question. In everyday conversation, when people make reference to paying attention, planning, forgetting, guessing, daydreaming and so on, they are invoking what? Propaganda, cognitive concepts, misinformation, disinformation. Propaganda means you are spreading something. Misinformation and disinformation are not related to this. So think about paying attention. How far you can focus on a topic is related to the brain. Planning something, forgetting something is again about the mind. Guessing something, daydreaming is again about the mind. So everything is about the mind, the brain. So which term is actually related to it? It is cognitive concepts. Without any confusion, we can go with option number 2, cognitive concepts as the right answer. Because cognitive part is related to paying attention, planning, forgetting, guessing and daydreaming. When people talk about paying attention, planning, forgetting, guessing, daydreaming, they are referring to mental processes. How we think, remember, decide and imagine. These are all part of cognitive psychology, which studies how the brain processes information. So that's why we are sticking to option 2 as the right answer. What about propaganda? Refers to biased or misleading information used to promote a political cause or point of view. It's about influencing others, not describing internal mental states. That's why I said spreading some information in order to influence others. So propaganda is not the right term here. What about cognitive concepts? These are mental activities and processes like memory, attention, reasoning and imagination. Imagination is what we can say as daydreaming. The correct category for terms like planning, forgetting and daydreaming. What is misinformation? This means false or inaccurate information often shared unintentionally. It's about external communication, not internal thought. So inaccurate information is not going to be a part of this question. What about disinformation? Refers to deliberately false information spread to deceive. Here misinformation is actually shared unintentionally. It is false information only, but it is shared unintentionally. But when that information is spread intentionally or deliberately, means wantedly they are doing, that is disinformation. Like propaganda, it's about manipulation and not mental processes. So disinformation is also like propaganda, means both are about manipulating others and it does not refer to an individual's mental processes. So disinformation is also not a part of the answer. We are completing unit 4 here. Let's move on to unit 5, mathematical reasoning and aptitude. The incomes of A and B are in the ratio of 3:2 and their expenses are in the ratio of 5:3. If each of them saves rupees 3000, then we have to find A's income in rupees. A's income and B's income are given in the form of ratio. Whenever there is ratio involved like 3:2, there must be a number X. When it is multiplied with 3, we will get A's income. When it is multiplied with 2, we will get B's income. Similarly, the expenses are also mentioned in form of ratio. Here for income we will use X variable and for expenses we will use Y variable. A's expenses is denoted by 5Y and B's expenses will be denoted by 3Y. Now what is the saving amount for both A and B? A saves 3000 and B also saves 3000. What is the general formula for income? Income will be savings plus expenses. Since savings is given as a constant number 3000, we will bring expenses to this side. So income minus expenses will give you the saving value. I earn 10 rupees and I spend 5 rupees. What is the saving? It is 5 rupees. 10 minus 5 which is equal to 5. So same concept we are applying here. So let's take A. Savings will be 3000. What is A's income? It is 3x. And what is the expense of A? It is 5y. What about B? the savings is 3000, the income of B will be 2x and the expense of B will be 3y. We have it in the form of equation. We have to solve the equation, find x or y, and using that value we have to calculate A's income. So let's solve the equation now. Let's take A equation in the form of 3x minus 5y is equal to 3000 and B equation will be 2x minus 3y is equal to 3000. Now we have to cancel some terms. So there are two ways to carry out this. Multiply A by 2 and multiply B by 3. This will cancel x term. In case you multiply A by 3 and B by 5, then this will cancel the y term. You can find y, go with x, or find x and then calculate A's income. Whatever way you want, you can do. So since we want something regarding A, what I feel is we will find the value of x itself. So let's multiply A by 3. 3 into 3 is 9x, 5 into 3 is 15y, and 3 into 3 is 9 again, so this is 9000. We have to multiply B by 5, so this is A into 3 and this is B into 5. 2 5s are 10 and then we have 15y again and this will be 15,000. We have to change signs. So we will have minus here, this will become plus and this will become minus. So these two terms will get cancelled. This is minus x is equal to minus 6000. Minus and minus will be cancelled now. What is A's income? A's income is equal to 3 into x. So 3 into 6000 will give a value of 18,000. There will be a mistake where you will equate the answer to option 3, which is 6000. You have to multiply this x to the ratio part. So B's income will be 2 into x. A's income will be 3 into x. So unless you multiply, you will not get A's income. So here option number 4, 18,000 will be the right answer. So I told there is another way to cancel x term and do with y. So let's do that part also. A into 2 will give you 6x minus 10y, which is equal to 6000. Then B into 3 will give you 6x minus 9y, which is equal to 9000. Now we will change signs here. The x term will go away. Now we will have minus 10 plus y. This is minus y and this is minus 3000. Minus and minus will go. So we have to substitute y in any of the equation. Let's take A equation. 3x minus 5y is equal to 3000. So y is also 3000. This will be 3x minus 5 into 3000 will be 15,000, which is equal to 3000. Then 3x is equal to 3000 plus 15,000, which will give a value of 18,000. Here you need not find x separately because A's income is denoted by 3x and you directly have that 3x value here. So you can mark the answer like this way also. Whichever way you are comfortable, you can use that way. Next question, complete the following series. 582, 581, 585, 576, 592, 567. Can you understand the pattern? This is decrementing, these two are incrementing, these two are decrementing, these two are incrementing, and these two are decrementing. So this is plus and minus form of series. There are two ways to solve this particular question. So I will show you both the ways. Let's start with way 1. I have to find this particular value, so I am naming it as x. 582, 581, 585, 576, 592, 567, and then we have to find x here. So what is the first way? We will find the difference between the numbers. 582 and 581, the difference is minus 1. What is the difference between 581 and 585? It is plus 4. So use the symbol properly, whether it's minus or plus. Only when I use minus 1, I will get 581. Only when I use plus 4, I will get 585. I am using the number along with the sign here. So 585 minus which number will give you 576? It is 9. 576 plus which number will give you 592? It is 16. 592 minus which number will give you 567? It is 25. Now what do you understand from this particular term? 1, 4, 9, 16, 25. 1, 4, 9, 16, 25 is nothing but 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, 4 square and 5 square. So what is the next term here? It will be 6 square, which is 36. So definitely 36 will be the number. What sign has to come? We started with minus, we went with plus. Minus, plus, minus. So 36 will accompany with plus symbol. This is plus 36. Now add 567 with 36. 7 plus 6 is 13, 1 plus 6 is 7, 7 plus 3 is 10, 1 plus 5 is 6. So x will be 603. Option number 3, 603 will be the right answer. This is one way of solving. Let's take the next way. 582, 581, 585, 576, 592, 567 and x. Here we will work with the alternative terms. 582, 585, 592. This is in increasing series. 581, 576, 567 is in decreasing series. So let's see the increasing series here. 582 plus 3 will give you 585. What is 581 minus 576? It is minus 5. What about 585 and 592? It is plus 7. Only when you add 7 to 585, you will get 592. Now what should be the difference here? We have 3, we have 5, we have 7. So definitely 9 should be there. So 576 minus 9 will be 567. Now just see the series. This is 3, this is 5, this is 7, this is 9. So the next number must be 11. Whatever occurs in the top is occurring in the minus symbol. Whatever has occurred in the bottom is occurring in the plus symbol. So now we will go with plus 11. So what number plus 11? It is 592 plus 11. 1 plus 2 is 3, 1 plus 9 is 10, then 5 plus 1 is 6. We get the same number here, 603. You can approach the problem in any way, provided you have to be sure you are finding the right answer. If you find 2 or 3 ways, use one way to solve and the other way to check whether you have done it in the right way. Next question. Arrange the following fractions in descending order. You have to divide the numbers, get the value and then arrange it. 9 divided by 11 is equal to 0.818. 8 divided by 9 will be 0.888. 4 divided by 7 will be 0.57. 3 divided by 5 will be 0.6. 8 divided by 15 will be 0.53. You have to go in descending order. Descending means you have to start from the largest number and then go to the smallest number. So they have given the symbol as greater than itself. So which is the highest value here? It is B. Then we have A. So B greater than A. Then A is greater than 0.6, which is D. So you can just place it 88, 81, then 6, then we have 5, 7, then 5, 3. After D, it will be C. After C, it will be E. B, A, D, C, E. Option number 4 will be the right answer. Usually, arrange the sequence generally asks for increasing order. Here, the question is decreasing order. Large number to small number arrangement is needed here. Next question. Identify the correct mathematical statements. So, let's start with the first one. A batsman makes a score of 87 runs in the 17th inning and thus increases his average by 3. Then his average after 17th inning is 36. They did not give you the average value of 16 innings. So let's take the average value as A. This is for 16 innings. After the 17th inning, what happens? The average is increased by 3. So this can be taken as A plus 3. Now for 16 innings, you don't know what is the total score. But for 17th inning, you know the score is 87. So along with the total score, you have to add this 87 and divide it by 17. Ultimately, that will be equivalent to A plus 3. We will solve it. Average of 16 innings can be taken as A and average of 17 innings is denoted by A plus 3 because they say it increases the average by 3. The average A is equal to the scores divided by 16. This is for 16 innings. We don't know what is the score. So we are keeping it as scores divided by 16. The average of 17 innings will be the scores of 16 innings plus the score of 17th inning divided by 17. So how do you find the average of 17 innings? You have to find the score of 17 innings then divided by 17. But you have only the 17th match score. But the 16 inning score are not yet found. So how do you find the 16 inning score here? There is a equation here. A is equal to scores by 16. This scores variable is having the scores of all 16 innings. So we will keep scores in one side and bring this 16 to the A. This will be 16A. I don't want to know what is the score, but I need a notation to substitute here in this particular average formula. So scores is equal to 16A. Now instead of scores of 16 innings, we will substitute 16A. So let me write it for clarity here. Scores is equal to 16A. From this particular formula, we have taken this. What is the score of 17th inning? It is 87 as given in the question here. Divided by 17. What is the average of 17 innings? It is A plus 3. So we have A plus 3 here. Now we have to solve this. We will bring 17 to this side now. 17 into A plus 3 is equal to 16A plus 87. This will be 17A plus 17 into 3 is 51, which is equal to 16A plus 87. Bring A to this side and 51 to that side. This will be 17A minus 16A, which is equal to 87 minus 51. 17A minus 16A will be A. 87 minus 51 will be 7 minus 1 is 6. 8 minus 5 is 3. A is equal to 36. Now they say the average after 17th inning is 36. What is actually A? A is the average after 16 innings. So this is after 16 innings. So what is the average after 17 innings? It will be A plus 3, which is equal to 36 plus 3. So the average will be 39. 39 will be the average after 17th inning. But the one mentioned in the statement is the average of 16 innings. The average of 17 innings will be 39 and not 36. So A is definitely wrong. Only one option is involving A. So we will rule out that particular option. Let's go to B statement. The value of a number subtracted from numerator and denominator of the fraction 6 by 7 to get a fraction equal to 3 by 4 is 3. The fraction is 6 divided by 7. The value of a number subtracted from numerator and denominator. From 6 they are subtracting x and from 7 they are subtracting x. X is the number. Once you subtract these two numbers, the fraction will be equal to 3 divided by 4. They say the value of x is equal to 3. Let's check that 6 minus 3 divided by 7 minus 3 will be 6 minus 3 is 3 and 7 minus 3 is 4. Do we get 3 by 4? Yes. So the number is x is equal to 3. which is perfectly correct. B is true. So now we can rule out option 3 because it does not include B. Now we will go to C. If 15% of 40 is greater than 25% of a number by 2, it is 25% of a number plus 2. Then the number is 16. So what is 15% of 40? This will be 15 divided by 100 into 40. So cancel these two. This is 2 2s are 4 and 2 5s are 10. This is 1 5s are and 3 5s are 15. So you have 3 into 2 in the numerator. This will be 6. So 15% of 40 will be 6. Let's have 6 here. Greater than 25% of a number. So 25 divided by 100 into n. How much it is greater? It is greater by 2 means it is just having 2 extra. They say this particular number n is 16. So in order to solve this, we will just take this as equation 25n by 100 plus 2. This will be 6 minus 2. So I will bring it to this side. And here we will have 25 by 100 into n. This is 25 into 1 and this is 25 into 4. So overall you will get 4 is equal to n divided by 4. From this n is equal to 4 into 4 which is equal to 16. So here n is equal to 16. The number is 16 is perfectly correct. So C is also true. Now we have to check whether D is true or not. Only then we can know whether option 1 or option 2 is the answer. So let's go for D. The value of 1 plus 1 by 2 into 1 plus 1 by 3 into 1 plus 1 by 4 up to 1 plus 1 by 20 is 60.5. This is actually the product formula. So if you expand this, we will start with 1 plus. 1 by k starts from 2 up to n. Here n value is 120 from this particular statement. So this is 1 by 2. Product formula means you have to compute the product. When it is summation formula, you will be using plus terms. So after k is equal to 2, now it is k is equal to 3, then k is equal to 4. It goes on till k is equal to 120. They say the value is 60.5. Now let me give you the product formula. This is equal to n plus 1 by 2. What is n here? It is the final number. So it is 120 numbers. So what is n plus 1 divided by 2? It is 120 plus 1 divided by 2. 121 by 2. What is 121 by 2? It is 60.5. So the value is perfectly correct. D is also right. If you don't know this particular formula, what will you do? This is actually telescoping product. Most of the terms will cancel out. Let's expand the series completely. What is 1 plus 1 by 2? Let's take LCM. 2 plus 1 which is equal to 3 by 2. What is 1 plus 1 by 3? 3 plus 1 which is equal to 4 divided by 3. What is 1 plus 1 by 4? 4 plus 1, 5 divided by 4. This will be 1 plus 1 by 2 into 1 plus 1 by 3. This will go up to 1 plus 1 by 120. This can be written as, instead of 1 plus 1 by 2, we will have 3 by 2 into what is given here for 1 plus 1 by 3, it is 4 by 3 into, here we have 5 by 4 for 1 plus 1 by 4. This will go up to, what will be the final value here? It will be 121 divided by 120. Go for the final term. 1 plus 1 by 120 will be 120 plus 1 which is equal to 121 by 120. This is the final number. Telescoping means the terms will cancel out each other. 3 and 3 will go, 4 and 4 will go, 5 and 5 will go in 6 divided by 5. Similarly, the previous term will be 1 plus 1 by 119 where you will get 120 by 119. So this will be 120 by 119 where this 120 and this 120 will also go. and even this number will get cancelled somewhere to the previous term. So what is remaining here? So this is 60.5. So compute the fraction individually. If you are able to understand that the terms are getting cancelled, then obviously you will know 121 and 2 are alone going to remain, 121 in the numerator and 2 in the denominator. So if you divide them, you will get 60.5. Even if you don't know this particular formula, still you will be able to check this particular statement is what I am trying to tell you. It's not only B and C, but D is also included in correct statement here. Option number 1, B, C and D only will be the right answer. Next question, match the list 1 with list 2. The word is given in list 1 and the code is given in list 2. One possibility of this code will be finding the value of every alphabet and summing them together. So let's take the alphabet ordering. A will be 1, B will be 2, C will be 3, D will be 4. This order up to 26 and you have to sum up. Let's start for crab. C is 3, R is 18, A is 1 and B is 2. 3 plus 18 is 21, 21 plus 1 is 22, 22 plus 2 is 24. A will be mapping to 3. The next word is bark. B is 2, A is 1, R is 18 and K is 11. 18 plus 11 is 29, 29 plus 1 is 30, 30 plus 2 is 32. So B will be mapping to 1. A3, B1 is available only in one option. What about over? O is 15, V is 22, E is 5 and R is 18. 22 plus 18 makes 40, 15 plus 5 makes 20, 20 plus 40 will give you 60. C will be mapping to 4. C4 is here. D is sing. S is 19, I is 9, N is 14, G is 7. 19 plus 9 is 28, 28 plus 14 will be 42, 42 plus 7 will be 49. D will be mapping to 2. You can check for B first because B is having unique answer. Similarly, you can check for D, it is having unique answer. If you are able to find B or D, with that you can complete the match in short time without checking for all the words. So the code is nothing but sum of characters number. Unit 5 gets completed here. We'll move on to Unit 6, logical reasoning. Sound is eternal because it is caused. Commits the fallacy hetva basa of asiddha satpratipaksha savyabhikara vrida. Why did they ask the question in English? See, they have asked the question in English and now I have to explain everything. I want to clarify one thing here. People think that those who know Sanskrit or even Hindi will be managing all these 5 questions, but that is not the reality. Philosophy related words are not the words that we use in common language system. So the spoken dialect will be completely different and all these philosophy kind of words will not be reflected in that spoken dialect. So definitely even when somebody claims to know Sanskrit or Hindi will find extremely difficult to cope up all the 5 questions. In fact, not 5 questions, 4 questions. Sound is eternal because it is caused. What does it claim? They say sound is eternal and the reason given for the claim is because it is caused. Actually, we have learnt about this particular statement as well as about the fallacy in previous year question paper. The only problem here is with the terms that are given in the options because nobody would have learnt the Sanskrit philosophical words. Actually, learning philosophical words in English itself is quite tough. Asking us to learn multiple languages for one particular unit and only 5 questions is really tiresome only. In Indian logic, anything that is caused is non-eternal. The reason actually proves the opposite of what the speaker wants. So they are asking what fallacy is this? If sound is eternal, it has to be produced and it cannot be caused. Eternal and non-eternal meaning. Eternal means something that always exists without beginning or end. Non-eternal is something that has a beginning and an end. So when you cause something that will have a beginning and an end, Since sound has no beginning and no end, it cannot be caused. So eternal's term is Nitya and non-eternal term is Anitya. Let's get into the option. Asiddha is unproved reason. The reason is not true or not established. Example of such statement will be sound is eternal because it is visible. Here the problem is sound is not visible. So the reason itself is false. When the reason is false, that becomes unproven reason, that is asiddha. What about sat pratipaksha? This is counter reason. There is another valid reason that proves the opposite. Sound is eternal because it is knowable. But someone else says sound is non-eternal because it is produced. Two reasons fight each other. So for one reason they are giving counter reason, and that counter reason is not the one that is listed in the question. The third one is savya bikara, irregular reason. The reason is too general. It applies to things that don't have the property. Sound is eternal because it is knowable. Knowability applies to both eternal as well as non-eternal things. So it does not prove eternality. That's why they say it is too general. That is irregular reason we can say. What about the fourth one? It is viruddha, contradictory reason. This is what they say here. It proves the opposite of what the speaker wants. The reason proves the opposite of what is intended. Sound is eternal because it is caused. Being caused actually shows sound is non-eternal and not eternal. Option number 4, viruddha will be the right answer. So it is the contradictory reason. So asiddha means reason doesn't exist. Sat pratipaksha means another reason cancels it. Savya bikara means reason is too broad and it works everywhere. Viruddha means reason proves the opposite. This is the one-line explanation of all the fallacies here. Next question. Match list 1 with list 2. Source of knowledge is given in list 1 and the group of people or the philosophers who have accepted them. It has been listed in list 2. What are the sources of knowledge? Pramana means knowledge. The first source is Yogaja Pratyaksha, perception born of yoga. Direct mystical perception through yogic practice. That is Yogaja Pratyaksha. The next one is Kevala Jnana, absolute knowledge, omniscience, direct and complete knowledge without mediation. Then we have only Pratyaksha. So Pratyaksha is perception. Only Pratyaksha is only perception, accepting only direct sensory perception as valid knowledge. Aparok Sanubhuti. This is immediate realization, direct intuitive experience not mediated by senses or inference. That is immediate realization. Let's get into the schools of philosophy. So the Vedantins, they are the followers of Vedanta, Upanishadic philosophy. And Sarvaka will be materialist skeptics who reject inference and scripture. What about Jaina? They are Jain philosophers who emphasize omniscience and multiple viewpoints. What about Nyaya? Logicians who accept perception, inference, comparison and testimony. Now who accepts what? We'll get into that. Nyaya accepts extraordinary perception like yogic perception as valid. So A will be mapping to 4 here. Then we'll go for Jaina. Jainism holds that liberated souls attain perfect knowledge. You can use the term here, omniscience here and omniscience here. So it's about perfect knowledge or complete knowledge. So B will be mapping to 3. What about the next one? Sarvakas accept only direct sensory perception, rejecting inference and scripture. So direct sensory perception is only Pratyaksha, which is C mapping to 2. What about D? Vedanta emphasizes direct realization of Brahman as the highest knowledge. This direct realization is what we can say for direct intuitive experience. So they consider Brahman as the highest knowledge. So D will be mapping to 1. A4, B3, C2, D1. Option number 4 will be the right answer. Next question. A short break from philosophical terms in Sanskrit. Given below are two statements. One is assertion, other one is reason. Assertion states validity can never apply to any single proposition by itself. Reason is validity and invalidity are attributes of arguments. We have already learnt about the attributes of arguments in the previous year question paper. What is a proposition? It's a single statement. An argument is a set of propositions which can contain premise and then conclusion. What is validity? Checking whether the conclusion is logically followed from the premises is validity. If you want to check for validity, there must be at least more than one proposition. Only then you will be able to check whether conclusion logically follows from premises. Whether there is one premise, one conclusion, or two premises and one conclusion, whatever it is, you need more than one proposition. So validity cannot work with single proposition. So validity is about the structure of reasoning, not about a single statement which states that assertion is perfectly correct. Validity can never apply to any single proposition by itself. A single statement can be true or false, but not valid or invalid. You can never get the validity of a single statement. What about the reason? Validity and invalidity are attributes of arguments. So reason is also correct because only arguments can be valid or invalid. So when do we say it is valid? When the conclusion logically follows from the premises, it is valid. If it doesn't follow, then it is invalid. So we know both are correct. So these two options are gone now. Is R the right explanation of A? When there are two attributes of arguments, then that term cannot be applied to single statement. It is perfectly correct. R directly explains why validity does not apply to single propositions. Validity belongs to arguments and not individual statements. So R is the correct explanation of A. We will rule out 2 and go with option number 1 as the right answer. Next question. Our short break is over. Now we are getting back to philosophy. Which of the following are true? I will go to every statement. When I read the statement, I will give you the meaning of those terms also, like abhava, anupalabdhi, pramana. Along with that, we will try to get the meaning of the statement. Only through this way we can learn this question. Let's start with A. For the Nyaya, knowledge of abhava is acquired through anupalabdhi pramana. It means knowledge of absence is acquired through non-perception. Nyaya does not accept anupalabdhi as a separate knowledge. It means non-perception is not considered as a separate knowledge. Anupalabdhi is non-perception and pramana is knowledge here. For Nyaya, absence is known through ordinary perception, for which we know the term is pratyaksha. Anupalabdhi is accepted as a means of knowledge by mimamsakas and not by Nyaya. People watching this video would have thought this. Already it is a big torture to learn these terms, and this person is giving additional terms to learn. You have an option to skip, but I have no option to skip. It's my responsibility to give you the relevant information. So what did you understand? Knowledge of absence is not acquired through anupalabdhi. It is acquired through pratyaksha only. Nyaya does not accept this particular non-perception as a valid source of knowledge. A is definitely wrong. Let's go for next statement. The Nyaya makes a distinction between Laukika and Alaukika Pratyaksha. This is actually Laukika Pratyaksha and Alaukika Pratyaksha. What is Laukika Pratyaksha? It is ordinary perception. What is alaukika pratyaksha? It is extraordinary perception. The Nyaya makes distinction between ordinary perception and extraordinary perception. Laukika is normal sense perception. On seeing a pot, you can understand it's a pot. On hearing the pot sound, you can understand it's a pot sound. Alaukika is extraordinary perception, like perceiving universals, perceiving through memory, or using yogic perception. So, yogic perception term is yogaja, perceiving through memory is jnana lakshana, and perceiving universals will be samanya lakshana. You can ask me, why am I complicating this question to this level? Please understand, I am trying to give you at least other terms like extraordinary perception will include perceiving universals, perceiving through memory, and yogic perception. You can keep away the language issue apart. You can learn logic here. That's what I am trying to tell you. So it makes a distinction between normal perception and extraordinary perception. That's why I gave you different examples. Only when it can make distinction, you will end up with different examples. So B is definitely true here. Let's get into the C statement. The Nyaya reduces Arthapatti to Anumana. What is Arthapatti? It is postulation or presumption. An idea that is taken to be true. That will be presumption. Anumana is inference. We have already learnt about it in previous year question paper. Nyaya does not accept Arthapatti as a separate pramana. It doesn't treat it or recognize it as a separate knowledge. Instead, it just sees it as a form of inference. So this is the meaning of the line. Reducing presumption to inference means it doesn't recognize it as presumption or postulation. Instead, it says it is just a form of inference. Let's take an example. X never seems to earn money openly, but you see X living in a big house and driving an expensive car. Arthapatti here means you postulate that they must have some hidden source of income. It means somehow they are earning. This is in terms of postulation. But according to Nyaya, this is just inference. How do they consider this as inference? Let's take premise 1. People cannot sustain a luxury life without income. What about the premise 2? X sustains luxury. From this, what you can conclude? X must definitely have an hidden income. So you know luxurious life cannot be done without income. And you know that X is also living a luxurious life. If that is the case, even though X doesn't openly earn anything, there must be some hidden income for X to have such a luxury life. So in other philosophical schools or by other philosophers, they take this to be Arthapatti. But according to Nyaya, this is mere inference. So this statement is correct. It doesn't recognize Arthapatti as a separate means. Instead, Nyaya reduces postulation to inference. Reduces means it doesn't say it is postulation, but it takes it as inference. So definitely C is true as per the example that we saw now. What about D? The Nyaya accepts the validity of Upamana as a Pramana. We have already come across the Nyaya school of philosophy where Upamana is a part of Nyaya school. So definitely Nyaya accepts the validity of Upamana. What is Upamana? Upamana means knowledge by analogy or comparison. Nyaya accepts this as a valid pramana. So the statement is perfectly true. Option number 3, B, C and D only will be the right answer. For this particular question, only A is false. Next question, which of the following are true? They have talked about two philosophy groups. One is Sarvaka and another one is Jaina. So who are they actually? Let's have a recap. Sarvaka are materialist skeptics who reject inference and scripture. This is the main point to be noted. Jaina are the Jain philosophers who emphasize omniscience and multiple viewpoints. The perfect or the complete knowledge where we saw in one of the questions. Now there are lots of terms here. In the A statement we have pratyaksha, in B we have sabda, in C we have anumana, and in D we have mati. What are they? Pratyaksha is perception. This is direct sensory knowledge. What is sabda? We have learnt about sabda. It is verbal testimony. In case you remember this word, you can remember the meaning too. Verbal testimony means knowledge from words, scriptures or reliable authority. Anumana is inference, knowledge gained by reasoning from signs or causes. And mati is ordinary cognition. In Jainism, this mati includes both perception as well as inference. We will start with the A statement. For the Sarvaka, pratyaksha is the only pramana. Already we saw this point in the earlier question. For the Sarvaka, perception is the only valid source of knowledge. This is right. Sarvakas are materialists who accept only direct perception as valid knowledge. A is definitely true. What about B? Just now we said pratyaksha is the only pramana. Then the second statement immediately says sabda is the only pramana. So from this what you can understand is A and B cannot be true together at the same time. But only one option will get ruled because of that. Even though you don't understand what the word is, still you can rule out option 3 here. For the Sarvaka, sabda is the only pramana. Verbal testimony is the only source of knowledge. They reject inference and scripture is what we saw. Scripture is nothing but you can equate it to verbal testimony, because here they said verbal testimony means knowledge from words, scriptures or reliable authority. If we say it's testimony, then it denotes scripture too. So here they reject testimony, inference and scripture. Only perception is valid. So B statement is definitely wrong here. Regarding C, for the Sarvaka, anumana is not a pramana. When they say pratyaksha is the only source of knowledge, definitely inference will not be a source of knowledge. So they deny inference as a valid source of knowledge, saying it is unreliable. For the Sarvaka, inference is not a pramana. So C is definitely right. What about D? From the word mati, we understood that D is correct. For the Jaina, mati includes both perceptual and inferential knowledge. It means for Jaina, ordinary cognition includes both perceptual and inferential knowledge. Jainism classifies knowledge into mati, shruta, avati, mana, paryaya and Kivala. So what are these terms actually? So mati means mind's ordinary knowing, which includes perception and inference. Shruta means scriptural knowing, the words. Avati means advanced knowing, the clairvoyance. Manaparyaya means mind reading knowing, that is telepathy. And Kivala is complete knowing, which is omniscience. So here D is also correct. So only B is wrong here. Option number 4, A, C and D only will be the right answer. So we can even rule out option 1 and 2. So hereafter, at least for the key terms, try to know the Sanskrit term also. Sometimes if such situation occurs, it can help you. I don't say take effort to memorize those words. I am asking you to do some comparison and study. Say for example, mati in certain languages like Tamil and another language, mati means the brain part. So it should include cognition as the meaning. Next, you can take mana paryaya. We don't know what is paryaya, but we know what is mana, relating to the mind. So such words can be used, and sabda, pratyaksha, anumana can take their meanings from the previous year question paper. So definitely have practice in logical reasoning unit from the previous year question paper, so that it will help you in your future exams. We are completing unit 6 here. Let's move on to unit 8, Information and Communication Technology. USB stands for It stands for Universal Serial Bus. Option number 2 will be the right answer. Standard technology used to connect, transfer data and deliver power between computers and electronic devices. What are the functions of the USB port? It enables data transfer between devices. It gives power delivery, charging phones and accessories, plug and play compatibility, easy setup without manual configuration. Next question. Which of the following is not a programming language? Definitely option number 4, Google is not a programming language. Python is a high-level interpreted and object-oriented language. Python has a very simple and readable syntax that is close to English language. It supports multiple paradigms like OOP, functional and procedural. This is great for beginners and rapid prototyping. Common uses will be Python is used in web development using Flask and Django framework. It is used in data science, artificial intelligence and machine learning. It is used in automation and scripting, and also it's a part of scientific computing because it has many mathematical and statistical packages to do all kinds of computations. What about C? C is a general purpose procedural language. This is considered the mother of all languages. Provides low-level memory access in terms of pointers, efficient and portable across platforms. Common uses are actually operating systems are written using this language, embedded systems and hardware programming are done using this language, game engines, compilers, high-performance applications are written using C. What about Java? It's a high-level object-oriented language. The key feature of Java will include write once, run anywhere. This runs on any system with a Java virtual machine. It has strong memory management and security. This supports multi-threading for concurrent tasks. What are the common uses? It's used for Android application development, enterprise application like banking and e-commerce, web applications using Spring and Java server pages, large-scale backend systems. So all these three, Python, C and Java are programming languages. I thought I can just give a short summary on all the languages. Google is a company and not a programming language. Next question. List 1 has the peripherals and list 2 has to which part they belong to. Keyboard will be input device. Monitor will be output device. A4, B3, CPU will be the processor. C2, ROM will be the memory. D1. A4, B3, C2, D1 is available in option number 1. Option 1 will be the right answer. Keyboard is an input device which allows user to enter text, numbers and commands. Monitor is an output device where it shows processed results visually. CPU is the processor which executes instructions and performs calculations. ROM is the memory part which stores permanent data needed for booting and system functions. Next question. Which of the following memories or storage are volatile? Volatile memory. This requires continuous power to retain data. Once the power is off, the data is lost. So now you know what will come under volatile. The cache memory goes off when you shut down the system. The RAM, that will also lose the data if you shut down the system. The rest of the three will retain the data as it is. What is non-volatile memory? Retains data even when power is turned off. So let's take A. Random access memory is volatile. This is a temporary working memory, loses data when power goes off. B is ROM, read-only memory, which is non-volatile. This is permanent memory storing firmware and data remains without power. Next comes the cache memory, which is volatile again. This is high-speed temporary memory inside the CPU and this gets cleared when the power goes off. Next is SSD, solid-state drive. This is non-volatile in nature. It's a flash-based storage and it retains data without power. What about HDD, hard disk drive? This is also not volatile. This is a magnetic storage, keeps data even when the power is off. So A and C are alone volatile. We will go with option number 3, A and C as the right answer. Next question, arrange the following operating systems in correct chronological order of their development. The options are either ending with Mac OS or with Windows, but not with Linux. As per development, Linux comes after Windows. This is the main problem for which many of you challenge this particular question. We will clarify the confusion here. Let's see the chronological order of development for the operating systems. We can start with DOS. B. MS-DOS was developed first, released in 1981 by Microsoft as a disk operating system for IBM PCs. You don't have graphical user interface and all, just command line screen only. Mac OS follows DOS, introduced in 1984 by Apple with the original Macintosh, pioneering the graphical user interface. So we have C next. What about Linux? This was developed later in 1991 by Linus Torvalds as a free and open source Unix-like operating system. This will be A. And what about Windows? Windows means this refers to the independent OS family which started in 1993 under Windows NT name, rather than the early DOS-based Windows 1.0 which was developed in 1985. 4 years after MS-DOS was released, they developed a graphical user interface version, maybe followed by Mac OS, and named it as Windows 1.0. But this Windows is not an independent operating system which we work now. It's just an upgraded version of DOS. Though the name carries Windows, it is still DOS based OS only. So the Windows version that was released in 1985 belonged to the DOS family and not to the Windows NT family here. Early Windows versions from 1985 to 1992 were essentially graphical shells running on top of MS-DOS rather than fully independent operating systems. Windows NT from 1993 was Microsoft's first true standalone OS family that is separate from DOS. DOS is nothing but disk operating system. So that's why Windows comes in the final place. Option number 2, BCAD will be the right answer. I hope this would have cleared your confusion. We are completing Unit 8 here. We are moving to Unit 9, People Development and Environment. Given below are two statements, one is assertion and the other one is reason. What does assertion state? Eutrophication leads to depletion of dissolved oxygen in a lake. Reason states dissolved oxygen in water decreases with increase in temperature. Actually, we have learnt about eutrophication in one of the previous year question paper. What about the assertion? This is right. Eutrophication is the excessive growth of algae due to nutrient enrichment, mainly nitrogen and phosphorus. When algae die, they are decomposed by bacteria. This decomposition consumes dissolved oxygen. So, eutrophication leads to depletion of dissolved oxygen in a lake. Depletion means reduction of. So, the dissolved oxygen is consumed by the decomposition of bacteria. Because of that, it is leading to the reduction. They are saying it is perfectly correct. Dissolved oxygen in water decreases with increase in temperature. R is also correct. Solubility of oxygen in water decreases as temperature increases. Warmer water holds less oxygen. This is also right. But is R the correct explanation of A? Actually, they are talking about solubility of oxygen in reason and they are talking about eutrophication in assertion. They are not connected actually. Eutrophication causes oxygen depletion due to microbial decomposition, not because of temperature rise. Here also they say about the decrease of dissolved oxygen in water. but the reason is due to increase in temperature. Here also they talk about decrease of dissolved oxygen, but here the reason is eutrophication, which is microbial decomposition. The reason are different though the topic is same. So we can rule out 3, 4 and even 1. Option number 2. Both A and R are correct, but R is not the correct explanation of A. Next question. Arrange the following in ascending order of their moisture content. We have trash, rubbish, refuse and garbage. Moisture content increases from dry solid waste to wet organic waste. The dry solid waste here is trash, which is in A, and the wet organic waste, the other extreme, is garbage, which is D. The only option that starts with A and ends with D will be option 1. Actually, they are asking in ascending order. So, definitely from dry solid to wet waste, we have to take the arrangement. Maybe if they ask in descending order, we have D in the first place and A in the final place. So, let's see about all the options now. Trash has the least moisture content, typically less than 10%, as it consists of dry inert materials like broken glass and sweepings. The daily dust, we can say. Rubbish holds slightly more moisture, around 10 to 20%, since it includes dry combustibles like paper and cloth. What about refuse? This is a mix of rubbish and garbage. B and D contains moderate moisture ranging from 20 to 40%. Garbage has the highest moisture content between 50 to 80%. So the order will be A, B, C and D. Option number 1 will be the right answer. Unless we know the meaning of all these terms in the context of moisture content, we will not be able to answer this question. So do have a learning. Next question. Match the list 1 with list 2. List 1 has the convention or the protocol and the related goal is given in list 2. Montreal Protocol, Kyoto Protocol have been already covered in previous year question paper. Let's have a recall. What is Montreal Protocol? It's related with ozone layer depletion. A will be mapping to 3. So it is available in 2 of the options. What about Kyoto Protocol C? This is with respect to global warming, which is 1. So here we have A3 and here we have C1. Based on A3 and C1, the already known information, you will be able to answer this question. So every time when I say you will be able to complete this match with these 2 terms means you should understand the importance of practicing previous year question papers. It is not revising or reading the question paper and the answers. It is practicing and learning from previous year question paper. So let's start the learning now. The Montreal Protocol was signed to phase out substances like chlorofluorocarbons, the CFCs that deplete the ozone layer. So Montreal Protocol is mapping to ozone layer depletion. A will be mapping to 3. Then we have Stockholm Convention. The Stockholm Convention aims to eliminate or restrict the production and use of persistent organic pollutants called as POPs that harm health and the environment. B will be mapping to 4. We have already learnt about POPs in the previous year question paper. If you are able to connect it to Stockholm Convention, then it's fine. Next we will see Kyoto Protocol. The Kyoto Protocol commits countries to reduce greenhouse gas emissions to combat global warming. C will be mapping to global warming, C1. Combat means fight against global warming, we should understand. What about the Basel Convention? The Basel Convention regulates the international movement and disposal of hazardous waste to prevent environmental damage. So this can be equated to transboundary movements of hazardous waste. D will be mapping to 2. So we already found out option 2 is the answer. Option number 2, A3, B4, C1 and D2 will be the right answer. Next question, which of the following renewable energy resources contributes highest proportion to the total installed power capacity in India? Seeing the four options, we must know that solar and wind contribute more compared to hydro and nuclear. Regarding solar and wind, nowadays we know we are using solar more than anything else. So definitely the answer must be solar. Let's get into the detail. As of January 2026, solar energy contributes the highest share to India's total installed renewable power capacity, followed by wind, hydro and nuclear. So this one will be the first, this one second, hydro third and nuclear fourth. You must know the order of contribution. It might help you in another question paper. India's largest and renewable contributor will be solar with over 106 gigawatts installed capacity driven by rooftop and utility scale projects. Next we have wind, the second largest renewable resource with over 50 gigawatts installed mainly in Tamil Nadu, Gujarat and Maharashtra. Next we have hydro, traditional renewable source with approximately 47 gigawatts capacity, but growth is slower due to ecological and displacement concerns. Almost wind and hydro are getting nearer, but even then it's the traditional source. We are now relying more on solar rather than hydro. Hydro is water. And the final one will be nuclear. This is not classified as renewable source actually. So let's remove this particular option from renewable energy sources. This is not classified as renewable and it contributes only approximately 7 or around 7 gigawatts, making it the smallest among these options. Maybe when they ask about contributions, you can go for nuclear in the final place, but understand it is not renewable. So what will be the answer? Option number 1, solar will be the right answer. It will be contributing the highest proportion to the total installed power capacity in India. Next question, the black foot disease is caused by the contamination of which chemical in drinking water? Black foot disease is caused by contamination of drinking water with arsenic. So we are going with option number 1 as the right answer. It is a severe peripheral vascular disease linked to long-term exposure to high arsenic artesian well water. So let's see about every chemicals issue now. Arsenic contributes to black foot disease. The effect here is it causes black foot disease, a peripheral vascular condition leading to gangrene and limb amputation. These are medical terms, just know them. Other risks can be skin lesions, cancers in the skin, bladder and lung, and cardiovascular disease. When they say vascular condition, definitely cardio will be included. What about cadmium? This will cause kidney damage and bone weakness. Long-term exposure leads to renal dysfunction. This is kidney, especially tubular damage. Other risks can be bone demineralization leading to fractures and osteoporosis, Itai disease in Japan. What about mercury? It will cause neurological and kidney disorders. Methyl mercury in water causes neurotoxicity, especially in fetuses and children. Fetus, you can take it as the growing baby in the mother's womb. Other risks can be kidney damage, immune dysfunction and developmental delays. So when they talk about fetus, definitely you have to understand the developmental delay term. And the final chemical in the option is lead. This will cause cognitive and developmental impairment. Chronic exposure causes neurological damage, especially in children. Other risks will be reduced IQ, behavioral issues, anemia and kidney damage. We have completed Unit 9. We will move on to Unit 10, Higher Education System. Which education policy first recommended 6% of GDP as public expenditure on education in India? They are asking whether it's the National Policy Education 1968, 1986, 2020 or the revised NPE program 1992. Let's see one by one. 1968 policy. This will be the first policy to recommend 6% of GDP for education inspired by the Kothari Commission. The question here is asking about first recommended. We will go with option number 1 as the right answer. What about 1986 policy? This reaffirmed the 6% GDP target and emphasized equity, access and adult education reforms. So even in 1986 we had 6%. But the first policy to recommend 6% will be the National Policy on Education 1968. What about revised NPE Program of Action 1992? This focused on operationalizing the 1986 policy but did not introduce a new GDP target. What about National Education Policy 2020? This reiterated the 6% GDP goal as a long-standing aspiration still not fully achieved. Every education policy is insisting on 6% GDP target only, but the first policy is the 1968 policy. Next question, National Education Policy 2020 has entrusted which of the following with the responsibility to set up the standards of content, technology and pedagogy for online or digital teaching learning? National Educational Technology Forum, Central Institute of Educational Technology, Consortium for Educational Communication, Indira Gandhi National Open University. Such things will not be given to a specific university, so definitely 4 will not be the answer. According to the National Education Policy 2020, the National Educational Technology Forum NETF has been entrusted with the responsibility of setting standards for content, technology and pedagogy in online and digital teaching learning across India. Even when you take Consortium for Educational Communication, it didn't talk about technology, so you can even rule out 3. Regarding 1 and 2, National Educational Technology Forum and this is Central Institute of Educational Technology. Only out of these 2 you should have the confusion. So now we know based on this the answer will be option number 1, National Educational Technology Forum. Option 1 is the right answer. Now we will see about all the 4 options. NETF is tasked by NEP 2020 to set standards for content technology and pedagogy in digital education across India. Central Institute of Educational Technology CIET develops digital content and educational media especially for school level learning under NCERT. The third option, Consortium for Educational Communication CEC. This produces and disseminates higher education content via television and online platforms for university students. Disseminates means spread the content. And the final option is IGNOU, Indira Gandhi National Open University. This provides distance education and lifelong learning opportunities through open and flexible delivery systems. Know the task of every option here so that it will be useful for you in some other question paper. Next question, given below are 2 statements. One is assertion, another one is reason. Assertion states, higher education institutions in the country with appropriate credit transfer mechanism are facilitating students to enroll themselves in pre-designed academic programs. Pre-designed academic programs means already they would have designed some courses. You have to learn all these things. It is restricted to only already designed programs. That's what they say. What about the reason? Academic Bank of Credits works on the principle of multiple entry, multiple exit as well as anytime, anywhere and any level learning. We have to know about the ABC first. The Academic Bank of Credits is a national level facility that is used to promote the flexibility of the curriculum framework and interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary academic mobility of students across the higher education institutions in the country with appropriate credit transfer mechanism. So A is right till here. It shall be a mechanism to facilitate the students to choose their own learning path to attain a degree, diploma, certificate, working on the principle of multiple entry and exit as well as anytime, anywhere and any level of learning. This statement makes sure that R is definitely right. But here there is something: facilitate the students to choose their own learning path to attain a degree or diploma or certificate. But here it is given as pre-designed academic programs, which is contradicting the choosing own learning path. So this we have to check. ABC shall enable the integration of multiple disciplines of higher learning, leading to the desired learning outcomes including increased creativity, innovation, higher order thinking skills and critical analysis. ABC shall provide significant autonomy to the students by providing an extensive choice of courses for a program of study, flexibility in curriculum, novel and engaging course options across a number of higher education disciplines or institutions. This particular paragraph and this particular paragraph states that higher education institutions in the country with credit transfer mechanism are facilitating students to enroll themselves in any academic programs, and it is not restricted to pre-designed academic programs. Here they say they have given autonomy to the students using extensive choice of courses, flexibility in curriculum. But when you go for pre-designed academic programs, whichever courses or papers the faculty decide or the institution decide, that only the students have to learn. You must complete those courses, only then your degree will be given. So the restriction on pre-designed academic programs will make this particular assertion to be wrong. So definitely 1 and 2 will not be the answer. Reason is definitely correct. What about A? It is not limited to pre-designed programs. So we are marking assertion to be incorrect. We will even rule out option 3. We will go with option number 4. A is not correct, but R is correct as the right answer. Next question. Arrange the following phrases in the vision of National Education Policy 2020 in the correct sequence of their appearance. Instead of reading all those statements, we will directly see the order, and after that I will tell you what is the meaning of every statement. Vision of National Education Policy: an education system rooted in Indian ethos. This is B. That contributes directly to transforming India, that is Bharat, sustainably into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society. This is D. By providing high quality education to all and thereby making India a global knowledge superpower. The curriculum and pedagogy of our institutions must develop a deep sense of respect towards the fundamental duties and constitutional values. This is C. Bonding with one's country and a conscious awareness of one's roles and responsibilities in a changing world. This is A. To instill a deep-rooted pride in being Indian. This part is E. Not only in thought but also in spirit, intellect and deeds, as well as to develop knowledge, skills, values and dispositions that support responsible commitment to human rights, sustainable development and living and global well-being, thereby reflecting a truly global citizen. Quite a difficult question here. Now what is the order? It is B, D, C, A, E, where it is available in option number 4. Option number 4 will be the correct answer. So now we will get into every statement. An education system rooted in Indian ethos means grounding education in India's cultural and philosophical heritage. The next statement is transforming Bharat into an equitable and vibrant knowledge society means the goal is to build a just, inclusive and knowledge-driven nation. What about C? Develop a deep sense of respect towards the fundamental duties and constitutional values. To achieve transformation, learners must internalize civic responsibility and constitutional values. Then comes A conscious awareness of one's roles and responsibilities in a changing world. It means this builds on civic values, encouraging learners to engage with global challenges and societal change. And the final statement, instilling a deep-rooted pride in being Indian, culminates in personal identity and national pride shaped by ethos, responsibility and awareness. Ethos is our own heritage we can take. Take a learning from this question. It might help you in another question paper definitely. Next question, match the list 1 with list 2. List 1 is about the body under HECI and list 2 is about their functions. We'll start with NHERC, National Higher Education Regulatory Council. This acts as the single regulator for higher education, streamlining oversight and reducing duplication. So this is single point regulator for higher education sector. A will be mapping to 2. A2 is available only in one option. Next comes NAC, National Assessment and Accreditation Council. This is responsible for assessing and accrediting colleges and universities across India. Here you can map to accreditation of higher education institutions. So B will be mapping to 1. What about HEGC? Higher Education Grants Council. This manages funding and financial support for higher education institutions. So here we have funding and financing of higher education in 4th statement. C will be mapping to 4. C4 is here. What about D? GEC, General Education Council. This develops the National Higher Education Qualification Framework NHEQF to standardize learning outcomes, formulating a National Higher Education Qualification Framework. So D will be mapping to 3. A2, B1, C4, D3 is available in option 1. Option 1 will be the right answer. NAC can help you go for B1 and HEGC. When you understand higher education grants council is there, this will be related to finance. So B1, C4 can be found out if you know the expansion of NAC and HEGC. If you find these two answers, 1 and 4 is available only in this particular option. Through that you can answer this question. We are completing Unit 10 here. We will move to Unit 3 Comprehension. Read the passage given below and answer the questions. The use of the term Dharma for law, nevertheless, was neither universal nor inevitable. So the meaning of nevertheless I have given here. It means still it is taken in this way, or though it has another meaning, it is taken in this way. Even so or however. So we can substitute however. The use of the term Dharma for law, however, was neither universal nor inevitable. Inevitable means unavoidable. This is borne out by the 1st century CE author Kautilya's compendium treatise on politics, that is Arthashastra. The significance of Kautilya's work for the history of law in India rests primarily on the fact that it provides a different and in many respects unique lens into that history. His treatise belongs to a distinct scholarly tradition with social and political priorities different from those represented by the science of Dharma, which is Dharma Shastra, the primary discipline devoted to Jurisprudential reflection within the Brahmanical scholastic tradition. What is jurisprudential reflection? This is relating to the theory or philosophy of law. Kautilya makes no attempt to reduce the variety of laws within society into the single category of dharma. Indeed, we do not find a single comprehensive term within the treatise on politics to refer to law as such or even to the broad areas of religious and secular norms covered by the term dharma within the discourse of the science of dharma. What is clear, however, is that Kautilya both formally and in obiter dicta. It means it's a Latin term stating that things said by the way. So both formally or as we say argues for the plurality of law. Law is not one but multiple. Although his text is later than the earliest documents of the science of dharma, it nevertheless taps into an alternate intellectual history that probably ran parallel to the one represented by the science of dharma. After reading this passage or reading 2 or 3 lines of this passage, I felt only one thing. 2 minutes silence for those who thought they will get full 10 marks in comprehension unit in December 2025 exam. Actually, there is no possibility of explaining the complete passage, but I can tell you that Kautilya is trying to say there is no single law, but there are multiple laws or varieties of laws, and he didn't want to narrow down the usage of law into one. Even though his works have come in the later stages, this work is getting into an alternate intellectual history that is running parallel to the science of dharma. Now we will get into the questions, and wherever we want we will go for the meaning. In simple terms, the first line of the given passage means, I am very happy that they understood that first line is complicated. What is the first line? The use of the term dharma for law nevertheless was neither universal nor inevitable. We will go for all the 4 statements now. There was nothing unavoidable or locally acceptable about the use of the word law for dharma. So here they talked about dharma for law and not about law for dharma. This is actually wrong. And again, inevitable is unavoidable, that is fine. When they say neither universal, already they mentioned nothing here. So universal is talking about global aspect and not local aspect. So definitely one is wrong. Locally acceptable is misleading. The text says not universal, which means not everywhere. The second statement, there was nothing inevitable or meaningful about the use of the word dharma for law anyway. There is no place it is mentioned as meaningful. The passage never says the usage was not meaningful. They talked about only 2 characteristics there, universal and inevitable. So 2 is also not the right one. What about third one? There was nothing unavoidable or globally acceptable about the use of the word dharma for law anyway. Inevitable is unavoidable. Neither universal can be equated to globally acceptable. So these 2 terms are fine with respect to that particular first line. Let's see the fourth statement. There was nothing permanent or unavoidable about the use of the word dharma for law anyway. Unavoidable is fine. Universal doesn't mean it's permanent. So we can rule out option 4. We will stick to option 3, which has the closest meaning to the statement. Neither universal can be equated to globally acceptable nor inevitable can be equated to the unavoidable part. So definitely option 3 will be the right answer. What is wrong with option 4? Permanent is not implied here. They have just mentioned about universal only. Next question. The work of Kautilya is of significance because. The question means the work of Kautilya is of great importance because. It works as a complete view of the history of law. It works as an alternate view of the history of law in India. It works as a scholar's view that is identical to the science of Dharma. Here the last line says parallel to the science of Dharma and not identical. So definitely 3 is wrong. It works as a perspective that fits into contemporary ideas on Dharma of his time. The passage emphasizes that Kautilya's treatise offers a distinct scholarly tradition not rooted in Dharma Shastra and represents an alternate intellectual history as it is available in the final line. So why it is not a complete view? Incorrect, because the passage never claims Kautilya's work is complete. What about the second statement? It works as an alternate view of the history of law in India. This matches alternate intellectual history and unique lens. The significance of Kautilya work for the history of law rests primarily on the fact that it provides a different and in many respects unique lens into that history. So based on unique lens and alternate intellectual history, we are going with option number 2 as the right answer. So I already told why it is not 3. Kautilya's view is not identical to Dharma Shastra. And what about the fourth statement? The passage says Kautilya does not try to unify laws under Dharma. It is given here, no attempt to reduce the variety of laws into single category, and doesn't even use a single term for law. The passage says parallel to Dharma only. So it is nothing about the perspective that fits into contemporary ideas and all. He didn't try to fit it into some idea. Rather, he said, let the variety exist. So this fit into is actually contradicting the phrase variety of laws here. That's why fourth one is also wrong. So we will rule out the other 3 options. Next question, the word comprehensive in the passage can be replaced by the word. Indeed, we do not find a single comprehensive term within the treatise to refer to law. Single comprehensive term means one term which will reflect the meaning of everything. So we can take comprehensive means complete, thorough and covering all or nearly all aspects of something. Alternative means different choice and it's not about complete coverage. So we will rule out 1. What about intriguing? It means interesting and it's not about thorough or complete. What about amazing? It means it is impressive but again it is not inclusive or complete. What about all embracing? It means comprehensive, covering everything fully. So comprehensive can be replaced by all embracing. Indeed, we do not find a single all embracing term. That will be the right replacement. Option number 4 will be the right answer. Next question. The passage tells the reader that Kautilya makes no attempt to reduce the variety of laws within society to the single category of Dharma. This demonstrates his argument for the which of the options of law? Plurality of law, jurisprudence of law, scientific view of law, scholastic base of law. As far as I read this paragraph, I didn't find these 2 terms. So I will rule out 3 and 4. Here there is a statement. What is clear is that Kautilya argues for the plurality of law where law is not one but multiple. This is actually supporting he is not making any attempt to reduce the varieties of law into single category of Dharma. This demonstrates his argument for the plurality of law, stating that law is not one but multiple. So definitely option number 1 will be the answer for this question based on the passage. What is jurisprudence? Jurisprudence reflection within the Brahmanical scholastic tradition is actually the explanation of Dharma Shastra and not Artha Shastra. It is not talking about Kautilya's work, so we will even rule out option 2. Law is not one but many diverse and not unified under dharma is what they say, that is plurality. Jurisprudence means the theory or philosophy of law. This is too broad and not the focus of this specific argument. This argument they are saying. What about scientific view? This refers to systematic or empirical approach not relevant to Kautilya's rejection of dharma as a single category. What about scholastic base? Again, they talked about Brahmanical scholastic tradition here. Scholastic means academic or traditional foundation, which they talked about in Dharma Shastra. But Kautilya's work is outside the Brahmanical scholastic tradition. The final question, which of the following is concerned primarily with jurisprudential reflection according to Brahmanical scholastic tradition? Just now we saw this, the science of Dharma, which is Dharma Shastra, the primary discipline devoted to jurisprudential reflection within the Brahmanical scholastic tradition. It is directly given as Dharma Shastra. Option number 3 will be the right answer. Artha Shastra and treatise on politics both are same. So we can rule out 1 and 4. It is the work of Kautilya and it is not the Brahmanical scholastic tradition. And there is no term called Niti Shastra that is mentioned in the passage. Kautilya's Arthashastra belongs to a separate tradition focused on politics and administration, not dharma. So 1 is ruled out. Niti Shastra is unrelated to passage. In fact, it deals with ethics and moral conduct, not jurisprudence. So they are asking with respect to jurisprudential reflection. Dharma Shastra is the primary text concerned with jurisprudential reflection in the Brahmanical scholastic tradition. And what about option 4? This is the other name for Arthashastra, which is not part of the Brahmanical jurisprudential tradition. So we are even ruling out option 4. With this we are completing unit 3 as well as the paper 1 solutions.